Okay, so get this Crew-8,
Uh-huh.
SpaceX's 8th mission to the International Space Station.
Yeah.
They just splashed down
Right.
after a crazy 235 days in orbit.
Wow.
Everything seemed totally normal, like picture perfect,
Mm-hmm.
routine medical checks, the whole 9 yards.
Right.
And then, totally out of the blue,
Mm-hmm.
one of the astronauts has to go to the hospital for more tests.
Oh, wow.
What happened?
Yeah.
That's what we're diving into today.
Okay.
We've got a bunch of news articles and reports that you sent.
Yeah, it's definitely a curious one.
Yeah.
NASA's being super tight-lipped, as you might imagine,
Right.
about the, actual medical situation,
Of course.
privacy and all that.
Of course.
But it does make you wonder,
It really does.
like, what could have happened after such a smooth mission,
I know, especially when NASA uses that phrase
Yeah.
out of an abundance of caution.
Right.
Really gets the wheels turning.
Absolutely.
But thankfully, we do know that the astronaut spent one night in the hospital
Okay.
and was released the next day
Good.
in good health, according to the reports.
That's great. That's a huge relief.
Yeah, definitely.
This kind of reminds me,
Yeah.
it's easy to forget sometimes that space travel, as incredible as it is,
Right.
still has, some inherent risks.
Oh, for sure.
Remember back in 2008, the South Korean astronaut
Oh, yeah.
ended up hospitalized with, intense back pain.
I remember that.
It turned out it was all from the G-forces during re-entry.
Wow.
And even, way back in 75,
Mm.
the Apollo-Soyuz crew,
Yeah.
they had lung issues
Really?
because of some toxic fumes they had been exposed to.
Oh, wow.
So, yeah, space is a pretty unforgiving environment.
That's so true.
Yeah.
At least in this case, though, the Dragon spacecraft itself seems to have worked perfectly.
Yeah, it sounds like it.
All systems go during re-entry and splashdown.
Right.
No visible problems whatsoever.
Good.
And even though the crew was a little wobbly when they first got out,
I mean,
who wouldn't be after that long?
of course.
But they seem to be in good spirits.
That's good. That's good.
Yeah.
That wobbliness, though,
Yeah.
that's a perfect example of how tough it is for the human body to get back to, Earth's gravity
Right.
after spending so much time or space.
For sure.
Even with them exercising every single day up on the ISS,
Right.
it takes months to really get back to normal.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
It makes you think about what astronaut Frank Rubio said.
Oh, yeah.
He holds the U.S. record for the longest space flight,
Uh-huh.
371 days.
Wow.
He was very vivid about the whole thing.
Well.
Like vomiting, barely being able to walk,
Oh, my gosh.
taking months to feel right again.
It's wild, right?
Yeah. Makes you realize it's not all
Yeah.
glamorous spacewalks and floating around, huh?
Not exactly. No.
Right.
Rubio's experience really brings home the point that recovery
Yeah.
from spaceflight is a marathon, not a sprint.
For sure.
The initial bounce back might seem pretty quick,
Yeah.
but regaining full strength and coordination takes about 6 months,
Wow.
even for shorter missions. And that's interesting because Crew-8,
Yeah.
while they weren't out as long as Rubio,
Right.
they were still up there, well beyond,
Right.
the usual 6-month ISS stay,
Right.
235 days.
Yeah.
That's no joke.
No, not at all.
It's a long time.
And get this.
Yeah.
The reason they were up there for so long
Okay.
is kind of a whole other story.
Oh, really?
It all comes down to Boeing's Starliner test flight
Uh-huh.
running into problems, which messed up the whole schedule.
Oh, wow.
And then, as if that wasn't enough, Hurricane Milton
Oh, no.
kicked up some really rough seas
Oh.
and delayed their return even further.
Wow. Talk about bad luck.
I know, right? Jeez.
It's crazy.
It's ironic, isn't it?
It really is.
But speaking of records,
Yeah.
235 days is actually a new one for SpaceX's Dragon capsule.
It was originally certified for 210 days, but they ended up extending it to 240.
Wow.
Really shows how much we're still learning
Yeah.
and pushing the limits in space travel.
It's incredible.
What seemed impossible just a few years ago is becoming routine.
Yeah, you're right.
It's amazing.
It really makes you appreciate all the tweaking and refining they're
Yeah.
doing behind the scenes.
Absolutely.
You know what else is crazy?
What's that?
The super strict weather rules.
Oh, yeah.
For Dragon splashdowns,
Right.
it has to be, like, practically perfect.
I know.
Calm seas, no rain or lightning.
Wow.
Even the wind has to cooperate.
Really?
I know.
It's intense.
The far cry from Boeing's Starliner,
Right.
which, touches down in the desert.
Right.
So, who knows?
Yeah.
Maybe choosing the desert has some hidden advantages after all.
Maybe so. Maybe so.
Right.
But speaking of splashdowns,
Yeah.
you won't believe this.
Okay.
SpaceX is moving Dragon recoveries to the Pacific Ocean next year.
Hold on, seriously.
Yeah.
Why this sudden change of scenery?
Well, there's two main reasons.
Okay.
And they both kind of give us some clues about where space travel is headed.
Okay.
First of all, landing in the Pacific lets them target the Dragon's trunk re-entry more accurately.
Okay.
Which means there's less chance of, those surprise space debris incidents
Oh, right.
we've heard about on land.
Like that time a piece of the Dragon landed in someone's backyard in Australia.
Exactly.
I remember that.
Definitely don't want that happening.
Not at all. So a Pacific splashdown makes sense for that?
Yeah.
But what's the second reason?
Okay, so think back to all those strict weather requirements we talked about.
Right.
For Atlantic splashdowns.
Right.
The Pacific Ocean, especially the area they're looking at, it tends to be much calmer, fewer hurricanes to worry about, smoother seas, all that.
I see.
It basically means they can be way more flexible with scheduling.
Makes sense.
And safer, too.
Okay, that makes a lot of sense.
Yeah.
So we've got this mystery surrounding the astronaut.
Right.
The whole gravity readaptation challenge. And now SpaceX is shaking things up with these Pacific splashdowns.
Yeah.
It feels like space travel is constantly evolving, right?
Exactly.
Like right in front of us.
Absolutely. And it really highlights that even missions that seem totally routine can still teach us so much.
Right.
This incident with Crew-8, we don't know all the details.
Right.
But it's probably giving NASA and SpaceX a ton of data to analyze.
Yeah.
They're going to be looking at everything.
Like what?
Mission planning, astronaut care, even spacecraft design.
Wow.
To see what can be improved for future missions.
It's like each mission is a piece of this giant puzzle,
Yeah.
helping us understand what it really takes to live and work in space.
Absolutely.
Safely.
It really makes you appreciate the astronauts.
It does.
Putting their bodies and minds on the line to push the boundaries of human experience.
They really are pioneers.
Absolutely.
Speaking of pioneers.
Yeah.
Let's go back to SpaceX.
Okay.
And their decision to do those Pacific splashdowns. We were talking about how it helps with, the controlled reentry of the Dragon's trunk.
Right.
But what exactly is the trunk?
Yeah.
And why is it so important to, manage its return to Earth?
Sure.
For those of us who aren't rocket scientists, can you break that down?
Yeah. So picture it this way.
Okay.
The Dragon capsule. The part where the astronauts actually ride, it's like the front cab of a truck.
I see.
Okay.
Yeah.
The trunk is this big cylindrical compartment attached to the back.
Okay.
It's basically a cargo hold. So carrying supplies up to the space station.
Right.
And then bringing back experiments and equipment and all that stuff.
Yeah. So why can't it just come back down with the crew capsule?
Right.
Is it a weight thing?
It's not really about weight, no. The main thing is the trunk isn't actually designed to survive re-entry like in one piece. It doesn't have that same heat shield protection that the crew capsule has.
Gotcha.
So as it comes plunging through the atmosphere, it breaks apart.
Wow.
And those pieces can spread out over a pretty wide area.
I see. So landing in the Pacific lets them steer those pieces into the ocean.
Exactly.
Away from populated areas.
Exactly.
That's smart. Especially considering those past incidents we talked about.
Yeah.
With debris landing on land.
Right. Remember that piece that landed in someone's backyard?
Oh, yeah, in Australia.
Yeah.
Crazy.
So by moving to the Pacific, they're creating this controlled disposal zone, basically. So it's much safer for everyone.
Right.
And it also opens up a whole lot of new possibilities for SpaceX.
Like what? So they're not limited to Atlantic splashdowns anymore, right? Does that mean they could launch Dragon missions?
Yeah.
From other parts of the world?
That's definitely on the table.
Oh, wow.
Imagine, Dragon missions launching from different spaceports all around the globe.
Oh.
And then having splashdowns tailored to, specific regions. It could totally change the game.
Yeah.
Make space travel way more accessible. Open up collaborations with even more countries.
That's incredible.
Yeah.
It really shows how this one decision, moving those splashdowns to the Pacific, it's about so much more than just, calmer waters.
Right.
It's about pushing the boundaries of what's possible.
Exactly.
And setting the stage for, even bigger things to come.
Absolutely. And it all circles back to that constant drive to innovate and improve.
Right.
Even though we might not know all the details about this whole Crew-8 thing, it's clear that NASA and SpaceX are really analyzing every aspect of their missions,
They're looking for ways to enhance safety.
Of course.
Make things more efficient. And ultimately push the envelope of human space exploration.
It's like every mission, even one with a little mystery like this.
Yeah.
It adds another piece to the puzzle.
It really does.
It's all about learning and adapting.
Right.
Making sure we're doing everything we can to support the astronauts.
Absolutely.
We're putting their lives on the line.
Yeah.
To explore the cosmos.
Well said. And that dedication to constantly learning is what will propel us forward,
Right.
It's what will let us tackle the challenges of long-duration space flight.
Right.
And eventually achieve these seemingly impossible goals.
Like putting humans on Mars.
Exactly.
This whole conversation has really made me think about those kind of like unspoken challenges of space travel.
Oh, interesting.
The stuff we don't always see in the headlines.
Right, right.
The months of recovery.
Yeah, the mental and emotional adjustments.
For sure.
The constant push to innovate and solve problems we'd never even thought of before.
It's pretty humbling.
It really is.
It is.
And it reminds you that space travel, even as it's becoming more routine, it will always have that element of the unknown.
Absolutely. There will always be like unexpected hurdles.
Yeah.
Physical and mental that we have to figure out how to deal with.
Yeah.
Overcome.
It's so easy to get caught up in the excitement of launches and landing.
Oh, for sure.
Those big, spectacular moments that, capture our imagination.
Totally.
But it's important to remember that the real journey, the real test of, human resilience, it happens in between.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Those phases of adaptation and recovery, they're like the unsung heroes of space exploration.
That's a good way to put it.
It's about making sure the astronauts are okay in the long run.
Right.
Protecting their health, supporting their mental and emotional well-being.
Yeah.
Because at the end of the day, their success is our success, right? As we go further into space, missions to Mars and beyond, all that, those challenges are only going to get more complex.
That's true. What new unknowns are out there?
Yeah.
How will we have to adapt? Like our technology, our training,
our understanding of the human body.
Yeah, to actually survive and thrive.
Exactly.
In those extreme environments.
Those are the big questions, right? Yeah. Those are the things that keep us going. We're already seeing those effects.
Like what?
Of long-duration space flight, bone density loss, cardiovascular changes, the challenges of radiation exposure.
Wow.
And as we go further, we're going to need to develop even more innovative ways to counteract that stuff and better support systems.
Like we're pioneers, in a totally new frontier.
It's true.
Constantly pushing the boundaries of human knowledge and resilience.
I love that.
It's daunting, but also incredibly inspiring.
It really is.
It is.
And with each mission, we learn more.
Yeah.
We adapt. We get better at handling those risks. It's just this constant cycle of innovation and discovery driven by, that human spirit of exploration.
So even though this Crew-8 thing might raise some questions and concerns, it's also a really powerful reminder.
Of what?
Of how far we've come in spaceflight.
Couldn't agree more. It's like a reminder that space exploration, it's challenging, sometimes risky, but ultimately so incredibly rewarding. It requires us to, push ourselves, embrace the unknown, never stop learning.
Well said. This whole deep dive has been a real eye-opener.
Good, I'm glad.
It's left me with this sense of awe and a healthy dose of curiosity about the future of space travel. What about you?
I totally agree. I'm excited to see what new breakthroughs happen. What challenges we overcome. What crazy discoveries are waiting for us out there as we keep exploring.
It's so exciting.
It is.
Well, thanks for joining me on this fascinating journey.
Of course, it's been my pleasure.
It's been a privilege to, delve into these topics with you.
Likewise.
And unravel the complexities of human space exploration.
Absolutely. Until next time.
Yeah.
Keep looking up.
Thanks again.